Chip Pollock, Steve Marcelino, and Michael Coyne, but Muggsy is the nickname, and you said everybody knows you as Muggsy,
yes.
So we're going as Muggsy.
Right.
That's the nickname. All three guys managers on the 70-71 team. The senior manager, the leader here, is Chip Pollock. So, where to begin here? I want to start with just overall being here, seeing the guys. What's it been like for the three of you to all be here and see the guys that you work with for a number of years? I'll start with you, Chip.
It was the best. I mean, it's amazing. It's 50 years later, but we're talking to our friends like we were with them last night, which we were. But so it's really that shows you how close we were. It just immediately, we took off where we left off 50 years ago. So I mean, seeing some of the guys, I see Sully and talk to Sully all the time, and George and Betty, but I don't see a lot of them. I live in New Hampshire, and just seeing everybody is the best. I mean, Muggsy and Steve. I mean, it was the best.
Co-workers here between the three of you. Steve, how's it been being back?
Oh, it's spectacular. Last night was one of those nights you remember for the rest of your life. We were all together, and 10 years ago, and boy, it seems like yesterday.
Yep.
Down at the Roosevelt Hotel with the coach then, and Digger came in, called us all up to the dais. And it was a big moment, and it was kind of nice for all the three of us. Is that my friends the next day said, "Did you see yourself on ESPN?" And so the three of us are up there holding our plaques on ESPN when Digger and Frank are speaking. And it's a great moment. It's just so wonderful to be back at the university.
Muggsy, how's it feeling?
It's amazing to see you guys, and I'm always honored to be invited back to these reunions because I think it's a special thing for all of us. And my thing that I will add to the thing is because I was Jack's roommate that year, we had to replay the game every night after the games. Jack would come home and we'd go through the whole game again.
Just interviewing Jack, I could tell he, to this day, is still obviously very passionate about every game. There was serious fire in these guys' eyes talking about the Villanova game and talking about those games in MSG. So I'm sure those conversations went on for
hours
on end, breaking down every little bit of the game.
And talking to him last night, it was just like reliving that. I mean, it was an amazing night.
That's awesome. Well, Chip, as so the senior, the leader of the managers, I'm curious, first of all, what got you involved and what made you want to be a manager? And second of all, kind of what was that role for you on this 70-71 team?
Well, what got me into it, I went to Fordham Prep too, so I was right on campus, and I had been manager there, and George and Betty went to Fordham Prep with me, and so I was good friends with George, and then. Really, I didn't start out being manager freshman year, but then George and I became really good friends with Sully. We ended up being roommates, and just said, "Hey, why don't you do it?" And I was hanging out with those guys anyway, so it seemed like and I love hoops, and it just seemed like a natural progression. And that year was just unbelievable. It's just magic. I mean, we could walk around campus. We were like the hottest thing. We were like rock stars.
Even the managers were.
The managers were rock stars.
It
was great. Everybody knew us, and it was magical. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it was just we had so much fun, and we were really good. I mean, I think that's part of it. And winning like this year's team, they're winning a lot. So all of a sudden, the places being packed and everything so the momentum was just building and it was great. I mean, working with these guys, we were all together. There was no head matter. I mean, I traveled, but that was the difference.
Yeah. So were you the only one that would travel for the
that
road
year?
games,
But those guys ended up going.
If it was a bus trip, we all went.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so
if it
obviously
was a flight, then Chip went.
Got it. So that's what I was asking. So about MSG and the
We
games
were all
there,
at those
you
games.
were all
games,
there.
yeah.
So Steve, I'll start with you here. What was that environment like, and how cool was it for you guys to be? Were you sitting on the bench for the game?
Oh, yeah.
Sitting on the end of the bench and being at Madison Square Garden.
Well, the whole environment was spectacular. When we go on some road trips, would drive. Muggsy and I would drive with a bunch of the folks from Fordham. We'd borrow our parents' cars so you can fit everybody in. Violate was probably every speed rule around.
Raleigh. We drove to Raleigh together.
We drove to Raleigh
for
down to North Carolina State.
NCAA games.
Yeah, and so it was a great environment. My job primarily was to keep the books and keep the stats. And so that's how I got
Whence he got his nickname.
Stevie Stats.
Stevie Stats. I love it. That's clever.
Of course, the guys would always be, particularly after our wins and combined, to make certain I'd gotten the numbers right, particularly Jack. So we'd put...
Jack was always concerned about he got charged. He got the right
He got the right
assist.
stats.
Right,
Yeah.
the right assist.
Got it. I'm sure he bugged you about that plenty, considering you lived
everybody.
with him. Yeah.
And Digger was very intense, so he'd come to me particularly on the book, and he'd say to make certain that everything was right. He wanted to manage his game very carefully, timeouts. He and his assistants, Frank and Artie, rest his soul, and Gene, they were all really honest. And Chip and Muggsy will tell you that we got our fair share of, it's a Digger pushing. Right?
Yes, I'm sure
we
you
really
did.
had to do our
It
jobs.
wasn't just the players that was getting
Tell them
that.
about the picture.
Oh yeah, the famous picture that's up every place of the team.
Yeah.
Well, if you notice, the managers are not in the picture.
Yes.
Digger was in our name is I think it says missing, and there are 3 names in there.
Oh,
Not that-
really? That's
but
horrible.
but it's the picture. I mean, it's up in the field house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the picture.
Well, you know what? Maybe a photo today will replace that. As
I think
the
if you
picture.
suggest that would be great.
and then you guys will be
He
in
was
it.
mad that day at the
he
manager,
was
so he
pissed
threw
off.
us all out of the gym.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
true.
Yeah, that-
But
Wow.
we got him back in one sense because there was a deli next to this great bar we used to go to called the Web, which, by the way, Digger and Frank would also frequent occasionally after some of our big wins. And our pictures as managers was put on the deli wall. So at least we had some recognition in the context of it.
It's Chip Pollock, Steve Marcelino, and Michael Coyne Muggsy. All 3 of us, the managers here with us, guys. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to be with us.
Thanks a
Thanks
lot.
for having
We're
us.
so glad to be back.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks.